So once again, DeMarcus Cousins and the Wizards have been a topic. In the past, DeMarcus Cousins has been talked about, and fans have wanted the Wizards to go after DeMarcus Cousins in the past. Not all, but a good amount. John Wall has always said that he wanted the Wizards to sign DeMarcus Cousins, but it never matched up. And recently, he said it again. And with the Wizards going to Orlando, a lot of fans are saying possibly, why not? Now, I'll give my take on it at the end of the video. But I'm going to give 5 pros and 5 cons to DeMarcus Cousins and the Wizards, and if he were to sign with the Wizards. So let's get into it. My first pro, we're going to start with the pros. My first pro is DeMarcus Cousins has name value. He's DeMarcus Cousins. Everybody knows who watches the NBA. Everybody knows who DeMarcus Cousins is. And if you didn't know, once he signed with the Warriors and the Lakers, you definitely knew, even if you was a casual. Everybody knows that DeMarcus Cousins was a dominant center, was one of the best centers in the league at one point in his prime. So even with everything going on, the name DeMarcus Cousins still means something around the NBA, in NBA circles. The second pro, which is also easy, the history with John Wall. Everybody talks about it. Everybody knows the history. They used to play together as freshmen on the University of Kentucky basketball team. So the chemistry is already there. They know how they play. They like playing with each other. So you don't have to worry about, oh, will they be able to coexist? Will they have chemistry? Because you've already seen it on film. Even if it was years ago. They know how to play with each other. They know how they play. They know how they like to play. So that's a second pro right there, in my opinion. I mean, you may feel differently, but that's a pro to me. Their history can be very important if DeMarcus Cousins was to sign with the Wizards. My third pro, popularity. Now, DeMarcus Cousins may not be, as good as he used to be, but it will still generate buzz from the national sports media. It will also generate buzz within the local fan base. Even though DeMarcus Cousins may not be what he used to be in the Sacramento days and even his early Pelicans days, but still, like my first pro, name value, this goes into popularity as well. He's a known guy. People still will come out to see John Wall Bradley building DeMarcus Cousins, even rather than Bill Wall and Thomas Bryant. And that's no shot at Thomas Bryant, but DeMarcus Cousins just has that level of popularity, and the fact that people would like to see Wall and Cousins team back up. People would like to see that. It would be nice, especially for, let's say, if you're a Kentucky fan and you don't even like the Wizards, but you're a huge Kentucky guy. You went to Kentucky, you love Kentucky sports. You got Wall and Cousins back together. That brings in that fan base. And then you got fans who may have fell out and stopped watching the Wizards because they suck. Or you got casuals. And then it's like, oh, Wall and Cousins and Bill, those are a pretty decent team. I'll tune in. National media, oh, Wall and Cousins back. Bill as well. We may give him a couple more national games. You never know. So popularity also factors into this, because this also can bring in more revenue, more viewership, more buzz around the fan base from national spots and as well as local. So third pro, popularity. My fourth pro, even though DeMarcus Cousins has been hurt and has been injured, I still believe he's talented than majority of the centers in the NBA. Now there's a lot of, of course he's not in that top 5 range anymore. Maybe not even top 10. Who knows? I can't even think of 10 centers right now. But when you think of all the centers in the NBA, maybe even starting centers, you still can't for sure say, oh yeah, this guy's better than DeMarcus Cousins. Now, of course, you got your elite centers, your upcoming young centers who's really good. But there's not a lot of centers that I can just be like, yeah, give me him over Cousins. yeah, that guy's just better than Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins, even while not being his 27, 26-year-old self, he still has a lot more talent than a lot of centers that are getting playing time in the current NBA. And that will definitely help the Wizards. Currently on the Wizards team, as far as the centers they have now, can I say for sure that all of the Wizards centers or one of the Wizards centers are just better than DeMarcus Cousins right now? I can't say that. Now, I'm not talking about fit and things like that. I'm just talking about as far as skill. I cannot say that any center on the Wizards is better than DeMarcus Cousins right now. Even with DeMarcus Cousins coming off of injuries. I cannot say that. So that does nothing but help the Wizards because they're adding more skill to that center spot. DeMarcus Cousins would be the best center they've had since Marcin Gortat. And that's just the facts. So fourth pro, DeMarcus Cousins is still more skillful and talented than a good amount of centers currently in the NBA. And my last pro on my pros list, DeMarcus Cousins is an offensive-minded center. In the Wizards with Scott Brooks as the head coach, he likes offensive-minded guys. Just look at the centers. Look at the centers they have currently on the roster. You have Thomas Bryant, offensive center. Wagner, offensive center. We're not even talking about Mahimi right now because he's not even going to be on the team. He's a free agent. But the two centers, the two young centers, the centers they played the most, Wagner and Thomas Bryant, can shoot the three, offensive-minded guys, slack on the defensive end. So DeMarcus Cousins pretty much fills that role right there of having an offensive-minded five that can spread the floor as well. So he fits right in with what the Wizards want and with what Scott Brooks likes. So as a last pro, I think he fits in with the team as far as that offensive-minded need. Remember that. I'm strictly talking about being an offensive-minded center. That's what I mean by he fits that part of the Wizards team. Now, let's get into the cons. 5 cons. I just spoke about DeMarcus Cousins being an offensive-minded center. So obviously, that means I'm going to talk about the defensive issues that will happen if DeMarcus Cousins were to sign with the Wizards. We all know not DeMarcus Cousins, the Wizards are a poor defensive team. And they've struggled with protecting the paint and having a defensive center in the paint. They haven't had that since I don't know when. A true defensive center. And DeMarcus Cousins is not going to be that. Especially at the later side of his career. He's not going to be that. So he's not going to help the Wizards fix their defensive issues at all. He may help defend the paint a little bit better, but not really. The numbers are still going to be bad probably. So even though you gain more offense at the 5 than what you currently have, how much defense are you giving up? Because Thomas Bryant, even though he's kind of undersized, he has the energy. He brings the hustle. Will DeMarcus Cousins have that? Will he be able to provide that? Provide the energy that Thomas Bryant has provided the Wizards with. Even though with all his defensive issues, he still brings that energy. Can Cousins do that? So that's my first con of DeMarcus Cousins. My second con. Now remember, on my pros list, I said specifically offensive-minded center. He fit that 5 role. But I still have an issue with his fit on the team. And when I say that, yes, I've said previously in the video that Wall knows how Cousins plays, etc. And they've played before in the past. But I don't know, DeMarcus Cousins is more of a back to the basket, ball dominant, more in the Sacramento days, ball dominant, I should say. He's more of a needs the ball type of center. He's not a set a screen, go catch a oop, above the rim athletic center, uber athletic center. That's not his build. That's not what he does. He's a back to the basket, can shoot the 3, post up. That's the type of guy he is. But when that happens, that's slowing your offense down. And the Wizards are one of the more faster paced offenses in the league. So, will he be able to keep up? Will he be able to be more fast paced? Will the Wizards have to dedicate a certain amount of touches to DeMarcus Cousins each game? Because if you go back, we had this same talk about Dwight Howard. And Dwight Howard's a significantly worse offensive player, but he wanted his post touches. And that's just made the offense, it slowed it down and made the offense worse. But that's the same thing with DeMarcus Cousins. Now, he's better, obviously, by far offensively than Howard ever was. But as far as fit and what the Wizards like to do, does he fit that? That fast pace, run and gun, fast break type offense. My third con, we got to talk about it. Injuries. When he was in New Orleans, he tore his Achilles. He came back, signed with the Warriors, and then eventually he ended up tearing his ACL. When he signed with the Lakers in the offseason, he wound up tearing his ACL. Now he says he's healthy and he's back and he's ready to play. But you got to still look at these things. John Wall's coming back from an Achilles tear. And then you pair him up with a center who's coming off an ACL tear. And before that, an Achilles tear. A big man who already wasn't the fastest, most athletic type guy. So how much risk do you want to take with the injury factor, knowing that it could pop back up at any time? Now, people make fun of Wall for his injuries and all that, and then you add Cousins to that. You got two potential re-injury factors right there. That's a big part of your team. Even if Cousins come on to like a 1-year deal or something like that, he would still be a big part of the offense. And that's just the facts. So you have to look out for that injury thing, that injury aspects of this potential signing. Now, my fourth con, and since we just spoke about injuries, this would be a good time to talk about age. Now, DeMarcus Cousins, he's not a fossil. He's 29 years old going on 30. But the injuries play a factor into the age, and that's what makes the age a con, because of the injury history. So you have a young guy, you have young centers already on the roster. You have Thomas Bryant, you have Mo Wagner. Now, do you want to give a tryout flyer to DeMarcus Cousins, who's on the, outside of the prime, 29 years old, downside of his career, and that's not in a bad way. But, I mean, he's literally on the downside of his career, getting older. That's what I mean by that. Or do you look at a guy like Miles Turner and look to put more focus into him and the trade market and get a younger guy and focus in on that and just stay the course with the two young centers you have now? If you sign Cousins to a flyer, try him out and like him and sign him, that's more of a win now move. And of course the Wizards do want to win, but you can also win while also getting younger centers or better younger centers than the ones you currently have. So that age factor definitely is a con for me due to the injuries. The injuries factor into the age. If DeMarcus Cousins wasn't coming off all these injuries, then it will be different. That 29 will look different to me. But I have to add it on to the cons list. And my last and final fifth con. Now, it may not be a big deal to me personally, but it can be, it seems to be a deal to other people, and it has in the past. My fifth con is Cousins' attitude. Now, I personally haven't really had an attitude with had a problem with DeMarcus Cousins' attitude over his career. But people have complained about it and said it could be an issue, as we've seen, he's had tempers, can't control his temper at times, has had things to say, but I think that's just his game. That makes him play better. But that can be a con for me, and not only for me, but front offices. Do they want to potentially deal with that? Because that's just his type of personality. He seems like a guy who's a fiery guy, a guy who, has a bit of a temper, can get emotional. It can be a bad thing to some, but to others, it may be a good thing. It makes them play better. That's just how it goes. But I'm going to add this in the cons list strictly due to thinking how a front office guy would think, how a general manager would think. Do they want to add that to the team, to the locker room potentially? Unless they may feel like John Wall got that under control. But DeMarcus Cousins is a grown man. Wall can only do so much. So that's my fifth and final con. Personally, I don't think the Wizards should sign DeMarcus Cousins. Yes, you can look at it as more of a why not type thing. You don't got nothing else better to do. Why not take a flyer out on him? You never know. That's true. But I just think what the direction the Wizards are going and how they're trying to get younger, it wouldn't make sense to sign Cousins right now. Or period. It just wouldn't. And if they were to sign DeMarcus Cousins, they should have did that years ago. They should have did that before he got traded to the Pelicans. I mean, it's some years too late now, in my opinion, to do it. Now, of course, this always pops up because of the relationship with Wall, as I spoke before. But realistically, I think there's just better options, different options, younger options at the center position that the Wizards can do rather than sign DeMarcus Cousins. But it's a wait and see type thing. You never know. If you guys have any more pros or cons, or if you disagree or agree with anything I said, feel free to share. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.